And we are live on Facebook and YouTube.
Oh,
Welcome everyone.
hello.
My name's Max, and I'm here
I'm
with the
Albina.
lovely Albina and Marius.
Marius,
Welcome, guys.
thank you.
Hi, Max. Hi, Marius.
Hi, Albena. Nice to be here with all of you.
Yes.
What are we
Thank
here
you guys.
today, Max, for?
Thank you guys for joining me. Well, as you guys might be able to see on the live on the background, there's some little ghost entities. So we're going to talk a little bit about talk to the entities and using the tools, getting to work, and actually, like, not just talk to the entities and dealing with ghosts in theory, but actually the practicalities and the pragmatics of dealing with ghosts. And the very first thing I want to mention about this is that it's really about, and anyone who's watching here, you can actually, I'm pretty sure you can type comments in the Facebook thing and then we see them. I'm not 100% sure on that. Sometimes it can be a little bit funny how it's set up. So the first thing, yes, I want to say about this is it's like delving more into the being the tools rather than doing the tools. And both are fantastic. I know I was doing the tools for many years because I'm a very mental guy. Like I think about stuff a lot. So I was like thinking about the tools and then sort of, but it wasn't
Only
really
you.
until I was starting to, yeah, only me, until I was starting to be the tools. And that's what I'm more interested now with facilitating, with dealing with entities, all that sort of stuff, because that's what actually creates a difference and creates a change. And we notice the difference. So, yes.
And I would like to say, doing the tools is a much better choice than avoiding the tools. Which because like yes, I get this, I'm going to the talk to the entities class, or that I read the books or whatever, yes, and I get the tools and I use them and they work, and then I get out of the class and oh my god, I forgot the tools. But like only because I'm not doing this at all, so yeah, okay, this is not at all about me. So like only when it's burning, like when there's the fire and everything is exploding, then oh yeah, I have those tools right there, but I'm not gonna, I'm gonna, we have um this thing like in Romanian, and I'm sure not only, like oh, this is the good cutlery, I'm only using it for special occasions. Oh, these are those tools that work really good, I'm only using them when it really burns. So what would it take for us to actually do and be the tools, like, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
totally. I love the examples. Only when it's really burning under the butt is when we reach
Exactly.
for something different.
For the good
And
cutlery.
yeah, exactly. And the other thing too that I've found is looking for a result, like using and doing the tools, expecting and looking for a particular result. Like, oh, I have this problem, therefore I need to find the solution, and that's why I'm going to use the tools so I can get to something different. Which is also totally valid, is like sometimes if the entity awareness is really strong and the signs are really strong, whether they're mental signs, whether they're physical signs or awarenesses that we're having, we don't have to wait until it gets that extreme, like Marius is saying, before we actually choose to use the tools and start discovering what we're capable of, how we deal with entities, because everyone's different. There is no one way of dealing with entities and, creating that change. And then discovering what your way is and building that muscle, essentially. So,
Yeah.
Albina, I like that you're in a forest right now.
Okay. Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yeah, we can hear you well.
Okay,
No, we can
excellent.
hear you.
Yes, and right before this Facebook, I was stepping into how I do business hours, and I've just realized I've been doing or business hours in a very the same way for a long time, and
Can I
kind of
interrupt you
limited.
for 1 second?
Yeah.
Business hours, for the people that don't know what
Oh,
what business hours is, what Albina is talking about, it's something in the Talk to the Entities beginning class that is in the manual and is suggested. And business hours is basically where we take 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, or whatever it is, and actually use the tools and clear, communicate, receive, and cooperate with the entities actively. So we're choosing to do it before the fire that Marius is talking about. And so we're actually engaged with the process, and we're using those muscles, and we're creating that change rather than waiting for those extreme circumstances. So it's that choice to take a bit of time using the tools, no matter if you think you're full of shit, or you can't use the tools, or you have no capacities or anything like that. You start from where you are and start using them and discovering and seeing what shows up from there. So that's what Albina is talking about, the business hours.
oh, thank you. I really like the simplicity you explain all that stuff. I mean, yeah. So
Because it is actually
yeah,
simple.
yeah, and it's very potent and easy, and so yeah. I have been clearing entities and having that business hours where it's a dedicated time for me to be present and to do the work. And I have just today realized that I have been doing that in the sense of focusing more on clearing and communicating. And I have been avoiding that part of receiving more dynamically and also cooperating. And today is exactly that thing of like, wow, there is something new. And I was also tapping into uh, the difference of me doing, because I do that on the weekend. I have the business hours on the weekend. And I was just like, guys, not today, it's tomorrow. And I was just like looking what else is possible with entities, with clearing, with playing, and also I I was looking today especially of what can I contribute and be contributed to in in a group environment. I was looking at the upcoming business hours class tomorrow because it's already started for me, and it's and I got a lot of new awarenesses, and I was very curious about how you guys do business hours. I realized I require some new input, inspiration, and awarenesses.
Yeah, well, that's what I find really interesting about doing this class, because when I facilitated the class last time, I discovered a whole lot more of how different people function with entities and how they process, facilitate entities. So it's like this real discovery. And for me, it always starts with barriers down and expanding out. And all the barriers that I notice in my head, really lowering those down, out of definition. And being in the question and engaging, with the energy. Rather than thinking about things, it's like allowing myself to really be out of definition and melt and engaged.
Thank you for
And
this.
the question is,
Wow.
yeah, the question is really the key to creation as well. It's because a big part of what I'm noticing as well with entities is you got to be clear about what you're looking to create. If you're not clear on what you desire to create, the entities can't. It's just like if you're working with a group of people, for example, right? And you're not clear about what you desire to create, how do you communicate? How do you engage with those people to create something, right? It's very ineffective if you're not clear about what you desire. It doesn't mean that can't change. It doesn't mean you can't listen to other people and receive from other people and have their input. And so there's a cooperation. But you got to have some sort of sense of what do I actually desire, whether it's in life in a bigger sense or in a very specific sense, if it's a project or a particular entity or so that clarity, or that even just that question to find out what it is that excites you and what is that joy, like that's what creates.
Wow. 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 This
Can I?
applies in every area. It's not like
Exactly.
working
Yeah.
with disembodied entities. It's like
Exactly.
working with your family, with your friends.
Yeah.
Wow. Was that
So
what you were getting, Marika? Yeah.
so everyone watching this now, you just witnessed some of the gifts that Max has as a facilitator in the Talk to the Entities classes, because it's like, first is this space that he's creating, for which I'm very very grateful,
Mhm.
and then there is this, you might believe that, okay, that's a Talk to the Entities class, I'm gonna start the Talk to the Entity stuff at some point, because now I have all this life that is going on, and all these things in my life, like relationships, like money, like, and I have to deal first with this, and then I also take care of the airy fairy stuff, Talk to the Entities, blah blah blah, they can wait. But actually, like every class that I've been in with him until now, Talk to the Entities class, it's, of course, it addresses the entities, but it's also very applied in day-to-day life. And I'm really really grateful for that. Like, Max started in February series, Talk to the Entities specialties intros, and it was like the first one was communicating with entities, and that was a full-on also relationship class, so with people, just to make sure
Really?
that everybody got it. So yeah, and yeah, yeah,
Thank you.
you
Thank
now
you,
now
Marius.
you can say thank you for this, thank you, really thank you.
Yeah. And I was, thank you. I was just realizing how much in like entity stuff or classes and topics are very undefined, and this makes them applicable to anything because there is no definition. It's like,
Totally.
wow,
Because it's really
working
how
through
we
this.
engage with everything. Like everything has consciousness, and how, like the key is like how do we engage with
Mm.
everything? Because the more engaged we are, the more we include everything, like the bigger we can actually create our lives, and the more is possible. The more we receive, the more we contribute to everything. And some of those, sometimes it's a little bit intense because there's some hurdles of like,
Mhm.
because we have some specific points of views that stop us from being engaged, having more ease in our lives, having more joy, whether it's with entities, whether it's relationships, whether it's with money. So when we get clearer about what our reality is with something and what we desire, it really like shows up in all areas. So even when we're getting clearer with entities and that side of things, everything, what I found is really everything becomes more ease. So you can't really separate all these different things out, like
Yeah.
entities, business, money, relationships, body stuff. That's consciousness. It's like it includes everything and judges nothing. I want to say
Wow,
one other thing too, that I've
Please.
I'm so
that I've
excited for tomorrow.
cool. The yeah, the thing that I'm finding so fascinating is how, like it's like, oh, there's like so many different directions I could really go with this, but how much do we avoid? And thank you guys for pointing out this avoiding thing, because that's been something that's been coming up in Access a lot. Gary and Dane have been talking about a lot. It's been added to the clearing statement. All the points of views that we have to avoid and defend against something or for something. We avoid being powerful. Like how much potency do we avoid by not being aware and by not being truly engaged? And this is what I'm finding more and more so. Like whenever I'm avoiding something, I'm avoiding myself and who I be truly, and like accessing the power and the potency of me. And for so long too, I thought, like in this reality, like power is like power over, or power like to control stuff and to have things more like I want them. But it's the power and the potency is literally to know more of what's true for me, right? What I desire. I desire more kindness in the world. I desire, and kindness doesn't mean, being nice. That's definitely not what kindness is. Kindness is so much more than that. But when people have true generosity of spirit, like that's wow for me. And that's something that I really see in, well, okay, I'll give one example. When I saw Dane, he was doing an introduction during the foundation class recently, the Global Foundation, and he was facilitating Liam Bramley, and there was another girl on stage as well, and that whole session like blew my mind. There was such a generosity of being, an inclusion of everything, and such a no judgment that he was being. It just like was incredible. There's actually a 9-minute video that's out about that session.
Video.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
And it's a very short encapsulation of it, but it gives you a sense of the energy. So if you look on Dane's YouTube, I'm sure it's there. I'm sure it's on Facebook and stuff too. The Magic of Being is in the title. And
thank you.
Yeah, okay. I could get carried away for a long way.
Yeah, no. Thank you for pointing this out, because I was also looking at addressing it, like choosing to be in a Talk to the Entities class empowers you in a way that you cannot step out of. You cannot be.
You can't avoid, however, and make your life difficult.
You can avoid. Yeah, definitely. You can avoid. I cannot be, not me. Okay, so it's this thing of you cannot be pathetic and deal with entities, and you get to acknowledge so much of your awareness that you may have had your whole life, and you have been invalidated or made wrong for it. And it's this access is such a gift, and it's this amazing set of tools and processes and informations. And from access, the Talk to the Entities for me, like the Talk to the Entities section, quote unquote, is one that it's one of the most powerful and potent that brought so much gifts and potency in my life, and awareness, and empowerment, and getting out of wrongness. But this is like everything that access does. So yeah.
I'm really grateful for both of you guys, because you both like receive that energy of the possibilities and that difference, and you guys don't. Yes, we all avoid these different things and particular things, but you're always open to more and having more of that. And that's the real key, I find, is like no matter where someone is at, like even if you're scared of entities, even if you're intimidated, and I would even turn that around, like, are you perhaps scared of yourself and what you're capable of?
Love it.
Like even if someone's starting from that point and you literally have no experiences, quote unquote, which is usually like a cognitive thing of dealing with entities or entity awareness, because there's so much confusion out there too, like from movies and religion, and in this reality, it's like everything that you can't see, touch, and prove with science doesn't exist. But science is still catching up to consciousness. Like science is discovering more all the time. There's very limited tools of measuring and quantifying and all that sort of stuff, which is how science functions. And when you're looking at like consciousness and quantum physics, it is not linear. And science tends to measure and see linear things, and cause and effect. Whereas when things function spherically, and it's such a bigger world, and only you can really know for yourself what you know. And that's why Talk to the Entities isn't about this is right and this is wrong and this is how ghosts are and this is how they aren't and this is how you should perceive them. It's always about the question of empowering you to know what you know. Because specifically with entity awareness, like no one can ever know for you or validate what you know about your entity awareness. That's the cool thing. You have to be willing to know. So it's a real knowing class. You know,
Wow.
it like really accesses your knowing, the Talk to the Entities classes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So-
Wow. So wait. Wow. Wait. So business hours is actually not just like dealing with other people. It's like empowering me. It's wow. I love it. I just flipped it.
Albina's having a moment in the forest.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
And she's sharing it with us. Thank you, Albina. Yeah.
Sorry, Max. You were going somewhere. I was just like, wow.
No.
Wow.
That was it for now. And so this is really, this Facebook Live too is an invitation to anyone who's checking this out, who's interested, if this is like a spark for you guys at all, and you don't have to cognitively know, like, I'm trying to achieve this particular thing, therefore I'm going to do this class. It's if there's a ping of joy or interest or even avoidance can sometimes be a good hint, like that's something that might be to reach for. Yeah, what could this class be for you? Business hours to discover. Oh, but there is a prerequisite for this particular class, and that is the Talk to Entities beginning. Because the Talk to Entities beginning class gives you all of the tools, like all of the foundational tools that you require to deal with your spirit awareness. And then that's what we use in the business hours, right? So you already have the manual and all of that information, and then we start using that. So anyone and if you haven't done a Talk to Entities beginning class, check those out. There's over 200 Talk to the Entities facilitators around the globe.
200.
Yeah, over 200 and more this year,
Oh.
probably. So it's really available. The Talk to Entities beginning classes, they give you all of the foundational tools. And then the business hours is this class you can do after that, which really refine your awareness and discover more and broaden and see what else is possible.
And
So-
can I say, because I mentioned at
Please.
the beginning, if you are interested in a taste or a specific subject from the Talk to the Entities area, or you would like exactly just like Max said, this class pings you, also check the Talk to the Entities specialty series that Max has going on until the end of the year, because those don't have any prereqs. No.
Right.
So, yeah.
Cool, thank you, yeah. So
Yeah.
there's like 11 different topics. We started with communication and creation with entities. This month is house clearing from A to Z. So that's like this whole specific topic, because there's so many unique entities topics that we can delve into, and these are all intros for all of those particular ones. So you can check out the website maxzoulek.com, and there's a whole beautiful page there that has all of the different classes and the months that they're in. So yeah,
I like
thank you guys
those,
so much
yeah.
for
Thank you, Max.
joining me for this. This was really fun, and I love that you guys brought the trees.
Yeah, exactly.
Greetings, guys.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you for the fun.
Cool.
Thank you, guys.
Pleasure. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
And everybody out there, thank you so much for joining, and till next time.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.